My name is Richard Bonney. I'm the chair of the committee, and I'd like to welcome you on behalf of the committee and the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine. Our assignment is to inform the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the sponsor of the study, about the state of the science on pain management, including a characterization of the evolving role that opioid analgesics play in pain management, to describe the epidemiology of the opioid epidemic and strategies to address it, and based on review of the evidence, to make recommendations on actions that the FDA and other organizations can take to address the opioid epidemic while taking into account individual need for pain control. This includes FDA's development of a formal method to incorporate public health consequences of prescription opioids into its future approval decisions regarding opioids. The full statement of tasks to the committee is in the handouts for the meeting. As I mentioned, this is the second public workshop held by the committee, and its focus is on regulatory strategies to address the epidemic. Let me preview the content of the session for the day. We will begin with a presentation by the director of NIDA, Dr. Nora Volkov, who will discuss future research to support regulatory decision-making. She's also going to be available after the presentation for questions and discussion. She's thought a lot about this issue. I've heard her speak myself a number of times on it, so we hope to take maximum advantage of her time here. Then we will have presentations by Drs. Joshua Lloyd and Peter Lurie from the FDA, who will discuss FDA perspectives on balancing the risks and benefits of opioid analgesics. Following a short break, we will have a panel session where invited experts will present their varied perspectives on how the FDA can incorporate public health considerations into a regulatory evaluation framework for opioids. We'll break for lunch at 11:50 and resume at 12:30 for the afternoon sessions. They will be featured by a panel session on regulatory opportunities for improving the communication of drug safety information, individual presentations on improvements in post-marketing surveillance, and on regulatory considerations in drug development, and finally, a report from the field on regulatory strategies to address pain and opioid misuse and overdose in Vancouver, Canada. We'll end the day with public comments and, time permitting, a continued discussion of the day's presentations. As you can see, the purpose of today's workshop is right at the heart of the committee's charge, and we're looking forward to both the workshop and any discussion that occurs thereafter. We'll adjourn at 4. Let me turn to a few words about process. I think those of you that have been to Academy workshops are familiar with these observations, but let me put them on the record anyway. So, for each session, we'll hold off on questions and discussion until after the speakers have given their presentations. Because the workshop is being recorded, during the discussion sessions, we ask that you please use the floor microphones and state your name and affiliation before giving your question or comment. During the discussion sessions, we will first invite questions and comments from committee members who are seated in the first couple of rows here, and then take questions and comments from everyone attending, time permitting. This is an open, on-the-record session. Interested individuals and members of the press have been invited to attend as observers, but of course, this is not a news conference, and we will not be entertaining questions from the floor in that respect. Any reporters who are attending who would like to talk with members of the committee are kindly asked to touch base with Molly Galvin, a senior media officer with the Academies. And Molly is where? Okay, she stepped out for a minute, okay. So where was I here? Okay. So, all right. So as I was saying, of course, this is just information gathering from the committee's standpoint. We're about midway, I guess, in the study, and so we are still in the process of assembling materials that we will examine and discuss in the course of making our findings, conclusions, and recommendations. So everyone should be mindful of the fact that the committee, of course, at this point has reached no conclusions and draw no inferences from any questions that anyone on the committee may raise. In addition, committee members do typically ask probing questions and in these kinds of information gathering sessions, and of course are not meant to be indicative of personal views or conclusions of the committee. In terms of the process after, the committee will deliberate thoroughly before writing its report, and of course, once the report is written, it must go through a rigorous review by experts who are anonymous to the committee, and the committee must respond to the review with appropriate revisions that satisfy the Academy's Report Review Committee and the Academy's president before it is considered an official Academy's report. All right, so now I think it's, having covered these process considerations, let me take the occasion to introduce Dr. Volkov. As I mentioned, and as you know, she directs the National Institute on Drug Abuse at the National Institutes of Health. Her scientific work, which is based on brain imaging, has been instrumental in demonstrating that drug addiction is a disease of the human brain that affects not only reward centers, but also the frontal brain regions involved with self-regulation and control. She has also pioneered the use of brain imaging to investigate the toxic effects of drugs, including the demonstration that cocaine impairs the cerebral circulation in the human brain. She has received appropriately multiple awards and has been elected to the National Academy of Medicine and received the International Prize for Science from the French Institute of Health and Medical Research. So as I indicated earlier, we're very pleased to have her here, and I ask her to come forward.